So, Uzumaki is a 2024 Adult Swim anime directed by someone I forget. Let me find it.
That's a great start. This is off to a great start.
Well, let me just say, I just finished it, and because I was a lot more excited about talking about this after the first episode than I am now.
Which I think is a normal reaction so far from what I've seen.
That a lot of people have had. So have you haven't read the graphic novel, have you?
Oh, 100%. I've read the manga, 100%.
Oh, you've read the manga?
Oh,
so
yeah.
You're
I
a
love
fan
this.
of the manga.
A huge fan.
Oh,
It's
okay.
my favorite. It's my favorite. I love it.
You're an Ito fan. Oh, okay.
I'm an Ito fan. I haven't read a lot of Ito stuff, but I've read a couple of his stories. And
okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
This is like the first one, so that I've read.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get into
Tomy?
I don't know what I was looking at. Like, I think I read like a scary story or something or some shit, and then I'm like, let me I didn't know that they do horror manga. I was like, let me look up some shit. So I looked up some stuff, and I found Junji Ito, and I'm like, I don't know who this is, but I remember a video I watched on YouTube about horror stuff, and he brought up the spiral. I go, oh, I've seen a video on this. I was like, what is a spiral? Right. So then I watched it, and then again, and I'm like, this is crazy. So I went and I read it, and I was just, it's 600 pages of madness,
absolute insanity,
insanity and horror and uncomfortable, like everything that I wanted out of a horror manga, even things I didn't know I wanted.
Yeah,
were in this book, and it was amazing. Hey, Arthur, what's going on, man?
I'm a big fan of this graphic novel. I'm a big fan of Junji Ito. I feel bad that I don't actually know how to pronounce his name. I think it's Junji Ito. But Uzumaki is not actually my favorite of his.
No?
I much prefer Tomy, which is the first one I read of his. Tomy's more about I don't know if you've read Tomy.
No, I haven't read that one yet.
You haven't read Tomy?
No, yet.
So that one's about a girl who dies. She's like brutally murdered, and she comes back the next day, and she basically haunts like all of the so many. She comes back to life and basically makes it her mission to terrorize men and women in general. She's a very she's a very conventionally attractive girl, so everyone's obsessed with her. And she twists and uses that obsession against them, and gets causes a lot of mayhem in this town. And it's all about obsession and like the male gaze and all of these great themes that are very that I really like. Uzumaki, I was about to say spiral. I mean, Uzumaki does mean spiral, but Uzumaki, I mean, I love visually. I think visually it's a super creative, like horror fiction, Japanese horror fiction. But I think like thematically and stuff, I don't get as much out of it as I do from Tomy. And I just find Tomy to be like, just the concept of her to be very horrifying to me. The spirals. It feels like a random choice. It almost feels like Junji Ito was like one day realized, oh, there's so many spirals like in life. It's like, what if I made a horror about that? What if I just made the freakiest shit I can involving spirals? And he used everything. Like, I feel like I remember reading the novel and at some point being like, are they gonna talk about this spiral? And then they do. Like, are they gonna talk about the cochlea in your ear? That's a spiral. They do.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah. Are they gonna talk about your thumbprints, which are kind of like they do. Like every single like spiral you can think of, he comes up with a horror story for it. It's very, very creative. and it all comes to a head in the end. I
Mm.
think that's the huge difference. Is Tomy was a lot more serialized, so
Yeah.
there isn't like a big interconnected like story. It
Mm.
feels more like a bunch of short stories about the same thing that he
Oh,
posted in whatever magazine that he
yeah,
posted
yeah.
them in and collated them. But
Mm.
Uzumaki is like more of his magnum opus. Like he
Yeah. I mean,
had
it's
a
definitely
vision for it.
his most famous work.
Yes, absolutely. Like
Like
the that
I've
yeah
oh yeah, this one here,
yeah that image behind you is like one
yeah.
of the
Iconic.
most iconic images in horror
Yeah.
in general.
Um yeah, so I've read Uzumaki, and then I'm working my way through another book of his. I can't remember what it is, but
Is
it's
it
just a bunch of
is it
short
Gyo?
stories.
It's not Gyo.
No, it's not that one.
No,
No,
I haven't
it's just a
read
bunch of.
Gyo yet.
Yeah, I think I started it, but I didn't finish it.
Mm.
But there's a book. It's a bunch of just random short stories that he wrote, so none of them connect.
Mm.
Um, and there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Mm.
I read the Yun and Moo. I think it's the one about his cats.
Yeah, right,
That one
right.
was is funny and also kind of horrifying
Yeah.
just because of his art style. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this man started a trend of just me diving deep into horror manga. I found
Mm.
another book that I want to mention real
Please.
quick from another guy who's not Junji Ito, but he is fantastic.
Obviously, yeah. Because
It's
Junji Ito kind of like broke the mold. Like
yeah.
he pioneered this kind of version of Japanese
Hmm.
manga. Um, and there's obviously a lot of contemporaries that take a lot from him.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
the other guy is Kazu Umizo. I think it's
mm.
maybe I say his name. He wrote the Drifting Classroom.
Okay.
I don't know if you read that one.
Do you want to pull it up on screen? It's not a
This,
video, so we won't,
no,
we
no,
can't
no.
get struck for that.
I'm trying to get like
Um,
the picture of it.
what can't get clapped for that? Yeah, Arthur, I am wearing a wig. I always wear a wig every time.
It's real. It's real. It's all it is.
Shows how often he watches.
Let's see here. Screen.
Mm-hmm. Um, so going into this and watching the trailer, which spoiler alert, 99% of the trailer is from the first episode.
Right.
Um, so I was super hyped for this. Just based on that trailer, and it seemed like they were going to.
This is the
Ooh,
Drifting Classroom. It's like a
beautiful.
post-apocalyptic story about a
Is that
bunch of
fungi?
grade school kids.
Is that fungus?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
It's like debris of like people falling down.
Oh, I see. I see.
But yeah, if you're into horror manga and you like post-apocalyptic stuff and like Lord of the Flies type stuff, it's basically like that.
Mm.
This is it's fantastic. It goes places I didn't think it would go. Um, yeah, it's a great read. It's also a long book like Uzumaki. It
Mm.
has a not it's got a horror vibe to it, which I love, but also like survivalist, like I said, post-apocalyptic. It's fantastic. So if you can read that one, that one's great.
Awesome. Is it like serialized like Ito's stuff, or is it more like a story with characters that has a through line and
It's definitely a
like
story with characters that has a through line.
character development and
Yeah,
everything?
it's all
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. When I was reading the book, I thought the main character in Uzumaki, I thought her name was pronounced Kairi, but
That's what I thought
watching,
too.
yeah, watching this was Kyrie.
Kyrie, yeah.
Kyrie, yeah. Did you watch it dubbed or did you watch it subbed?
Dubbed.
I did too.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
watched the first three episodes dubbed,
Mm.
and then today when I went to watch the fourth episode, I realized the version that I had didn't have English dub.
Oh,
So
okay.
I watched it subbed with
Yeah. When I first heard about it coming out, they said it's going to come out like a week before, and it was going to be the sub version of it. And I
Mm.
was like, "Oh, great! I don't care. I'm gonna watch it. Like, I need to watch this as soon as possible."
Yeah, yeah,
But for some reason,
absolutely.
it just on Max, either the option isn't there or I didn't look right. So I
Mm.
ended up watching it just dubbed.
Right, right. Yeah, I watched it dubbed because I mean I read the book in English, so
Hmm.
that's like I didn't read it in Japanese, so I
Right. Yeah.
just decided to watch it in English because
Hmm.
those are the words that I had read. You know what
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
um so I wanted the experience to be comparable,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. I guess I could have watched it subbed if I and it would have been the same because I'm still reading the English subtitles
Right.
like
Yeah.
the way I would have read the book, but that's just how I decided. And the dub isn't too bad. I
No, it
think the
wasn't. It was
dubs.
actually pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the voice actors do a good job of
Hmm.
voicing the characters. I
Yeah.
really like the voice actor of Suichi,
Oh
the
my god,
boyfriend. He's
fantastic!
just
I was gonna
he's
bring that up. That guy's great.
yeah. Like it's the spiral. It's
Hmm.
taking over our town. It's
Him and
like
Kiri
always,
were, yeah, fantastic.
yeah. He's just
Yeah.
always really breathy, and yeah, I loved it. So I want to talk before we talk about the whole show. I just want
Hmm.
to talk about the first episode and the experience of
Yeah.
watching the first
Well,
episode.
so before we get into this was announced like in 2019, right, or 2020 or
Yeah,
something. It was announced a
ages.
long time. Yeah, and then I remember, um, like I read the book like in 2018, maybe 2019, maybe just finished it when
Mm,
before the announcement. So I was like, oh my god, this is awesome! I can't wait.
yeah.
Prior to that, though, there is a live action version of this.
Yes. Yeah. I just need to let my cat in. She's
Yeah,
scratching
yeah.
on my door. Oh, she's made
She
her
got
way
it.
in.
Yeah.
I need to close it.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, so there's a live action version of
Yeah.
of
There's a
this,
live action
and
version.
it's awful.
I
It
haven't
is
seen it.
fucking awful.
Oh my god! I
Yeah, I watched
remember.
it. I watched it. Yeah.
I remember. I saw like I've seen stills from it, and
Hmm.
it looks like a really bad version of what's that movie? The not the Island of Doctor Moreau, the Cabinet of Doctor Caligari.
Okay.
Like that's kind of how it looked.
Yeah.
I'll show the
They
Cabinet of Doctor.
tried. They tried to do what they could, but it doesn't translate well.
No, I can't imagine doing it live
Maybe
action.
with the
Like
right
that.
person, but after this,
Yeah.
I don't know anymore.
Let
Um.
me try and bring that screen up.
Yeah. But
Um,
yeah. So
See
oh my
what I mean?
god.
Like the
Yeah.
really like the sets. Like this
Yeah.
is an
Yeah.
this is an incredible
Yeah. No, you're
film.
right. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Now I'll do Uzumaki film. But is it like? Why is it like? What's bad about it? Like they just didn't make it work at all.
Yeah. It's just like there's no charm to it. It's
Mm.
just like they were like, hey, let's see if we could like film these iconic shots or these iconic scenes and see if we can translate it one to one and just it just the mood isn't right. There's no way to like to get the feeling of it I mean, like you see it's all black and green and it's like
Mm.
just it's like that way the entire thing. It's like
It just
it's
doesn't
filmed,
work.
yeah, it's filmed like a horror movie but like in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it doesn't feel right.
Absolutely.
It's like they're like, oh, let's make this scary, and it's like, well, it
Mm,
is, but it's also very unsettling and uncomfortable, and I
and
just didn't
just
get that watching it.
yeah. Right. Right. I want to watch it just out of curiosity.
It's
Just
definitely worth like a checking out, but yeah, it's just it's not a good movie.
I totally believe you. I
Hmm.
don't think a live action Uzumaki would ever work. Like I can't even imagine
No,
trying to
probably
make
not.
that work.
Hmm.
You'd have to get like a real auteur to do it, and who
Yeah.
puts their own spin on it.
Hmm.
But yeah, this show feels like the opposite of that. Um, it feels like they tried to faithfully
Hmm.
recreate the vibe and the like what Junji Ito was
Yeah.
going for with the um with
Hmm.
the manga. The
Yeah.
first episode succeeds with
Oh
absolute
yeah.
flying colors.
Yeah. So
Um,
they released like a I think it was like a 10 to 15 second teaser, like
Mm,
way back when, and it was essentially the first 10 seconds of the of the anime when she's walking,
mm,
Kiria's walking through the thing, and it
yeah,
looked gorgeous. I'm like, oh my god, it's like legit the panels, but
yeah.
with like motion, like it looks amazing.
And the
And
first
then
episode is 30
it's that,
minutes of that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Um,
fantastic.
and then there was like some production issues, and then but COVID happened, and there was like a whole thing.
Yeah,
They kept saying, "Oh, it's coming, it's coming," and then I think they're like, "Oh, it's coming in 2022 or something like that," and then it never did. And they're like, "Oh, we're still working on it." So I was like, always just like, "This is never coming out. We're
yeah.
never going to see this." And then eventually they're like, "Hey, it's coming out," and then it came out this year, and this is where we are. This is what we're talking about. But the first episode, I have one problem with it, and I think that problem got worse as we go along, and that's
Yeah.
pacing. The pacing of
Yes.
the first episode, I thought it was
It
bad, but it's
it's
not crazy
absolutely,
bad.
yeah. It's
Like
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
go.
it's
Sorry.
like go 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 go. It's just like I'm trying to watch this. Why are you going so fast?
And I think the reason it's like that is if you actually read like the book, the comic panels do come at you at that frequency. But I feel like,
They do, yeah.
yeah, I think the problem is you spend more time on one page than you do in the anime. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
looking at one page, admiring one page of the manga.
Hmm.
It doesn't work in live action because like 1 second of screen time is like a whole page
Right.
of the graphic novel, and you might spend like half, like 30
Hmm.
seconds to a minute on one page just looking at
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Because it's a
Mhm.
work of art, but you
So
don't
I'm
get
a
that with the
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I read a decent amount of manga. I read a lot of comics. So just like the visual medium of just like it's way different comics versus manga, because manga, you like, especially this story, you
Mm,
read it and then you look at the panel and it's like it's setting in, you know? It's
yes,
like
correct.
it's like, oh my god, like this is what, like this, you're like, what the fuck is this? You
Yeah, and
know?
you just sit there.
Yeah, and you're just like taken aback. It's it's washing over you, all that stuff. With a regular comic book, you're like, oh, that's crazy. Batman punches dude. That's crazy, and you just skip to the next
Mm,
page and you just keep going.
mm,
So there's a lot of like marinating for like a
yeah,
scene like this. But in the anime, it's like, here's that scene. Okay, we're go. Let's go to the next one. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. There's no time
yeah.
to like to take it in and like go, oh my god, what am I looking at? You know?
Exactly, yeah. And it's interesting because you look at adaptation, like successful adaptations of like comic books, like superhero comic books, and they don't just translate it like panel to panel by
Hmm.
panel. They
Yeah.
they they add connective tissue that,
Hmm.
you know, makes it flow better, like makes the edit flow better, so
Yeah.
that it's not like this first episode, no, or like
Hmm.
this whole show is.
Yeah.
And I think it's I mean, I still love the first episode, but it is
Oh
its
yeah.
biggest issue. um but I do like the way that they weave, because with Uzumaki, the stories are all like one thing happens and then it moves to the next story,
Hmm.
like they have chapter titles and it moves
Right.
to the
There's
next
19
story.
chapters. Yeah.
Yeah, with this, and each chapter is different. With this,
Hmm.
they kind of tried to do a bunch of them like happening at the same time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know, one thing's happening at this house, and then it'll cut to
Which
another thing.
I did not like that.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I feel it
Hmm.
felt more natural. To me, it felt more natural as like an anime, like you're watching a TV show.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it felt like it felt necessary to me in a way, because um, I feel like if you just did it like one after the other,
Hmm.
it just I don't know if it would work in a visual medium.
Okay.
I'm still I'm still debating it.
Yeah.
It felt more natural this way. It felt more like
Hmm.
the world was inhabited, like things were happening here and there. So, you know,
Right. Yeah.
it fleshed out the world. It made the world feel lived in a bit more.
Okay.
But and it made more sense to me because like with a novel you can't really say when which events are happening. You can tell them like in that order. I do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
um so but with a show you can do that. And I don't know, I liked it, but I didn't like the pacing is definitely like the biggest issue with this. Especially the final episode. Like that felt like they just speed run.
Yeah, they ran out of time.
Oh my god, yeah. I want to read this. I don't know if you've read this quote from the producer who after the second episode came out and there was a lot of there was a lot of backlash from the second episode because it I mean, it's like night and day. You switch on the second episode, you're like, am I watching the same show?
Right.
It's crazy. So this is what the producer Jason DeMarco said. He said, "It's fine. We knew this would happen. I can talk about what went down, but we were I can't talk about what went down, but we were screwed over. And the options were A, not finish and air nothing and call it a loss. B, just finish and air episode 1 and leave it incomplete. Or C, run all 4, warts and all, and out of respect for the hard work, we chose C. After waiting so long, it makes sense people would be mad. Unfortunately, I can't tell them who to blame it on. But someone definitely is at fault here, and we all just had to do our best when things imploded. Maybe others would have made different choices, but we did the best we could with what we had. But again, a lot of people work very hard in this show, and I didn't think the actions of just 1 or 2 people should be the reason it never saw the light of day. Maybe that's the wrong choice. I truly don't know, but those people have a right to be annoyed and disappointed. I'm glad you are digging it."
Should have took option B.
Yeah, just release the first episode. Yeah, but then people be like, where the fuck is the rest of it? They can't blue ball us like that. I don't know. I feel like if that is what happened, like it seems to me that they had a decided budget and they got to work and they were almost finished the first episode. And then at some point, I don't know if it was Adult Swim or whoever was financing it was like, we don't know if this is going to sell, so we're gonna pull the rest of that funding we promised you and fend for yourself. Like that's how it feels.
So I was just watching before we got on and I was waiting for you. I was watching a video about this the series, and so I'm not too keen on like how a lot of animation is done and stuff like that. So I have like the bare minimum knowledge of this. So when I saw this, I go, "Oh shit, they rotoscoped everything. That's crazy." It wasn't. It was all actually motion captured, which is insane.
Wait,
which is why it looks so good. That first episode.
Wait, so they use motion capture for the first episode? Is
right,
that right?
It's not rotoscoping. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah, because I thought it was some, like I said, like rotoscoping or maybe something else a little bit different. But yeah, if you look in the credits, there's a motion caption actors that are credited. I said, that video I watched said that they did that. And it makes sense because they look so good and they move so well, and it was just there was such a fluidity to it that you couldn't replicate. But I mean, it makes sense if it's motion captured. I mean, that adds to cost, I'm sure.
Absolutely,
so probably
not just that, but just more frames in between.
It
just would have cost way more. You'll notice, like, if you go to the Wikipedia on this series, the first episode is directed by Hiroshi Nagahama, and then the rest of them, well, actually, it has no information about the fourth episode, but episode 2 and 3 are directed by a different person, Yuji Moriyama. And then the animation company of the first episode is different to the second two as well. So
right, yeah.
I don't know what's happened. It sounds like they could afford one production company and then they had to downsize and use a different one.
Yeah, so from what I heard in that video, and I did read online that the art production companies or art companies would whatever you want to categorize them as, they changed. So it's first episode, and then a little of the last episode, and then the what do you want to call it? Like the epilogue to the last episode. That was all done by the first studio, and then everything else was jumbled between like 2 and 3 different studios.
Did you say epilogue of the last episode? Was there an epilogue that I missed?
Oh my god!
Like post credits?
It was after the credits. Oh my
god! Did it look good?
It looked good. It looked good. It looked good first episode. Yeah.
Oh, I probably should.
You should have watched
it. Should have watched it.
It's gonna be brand new to you because it's an original story.
Oh, okay. Because I finished it. The credits rolled, and I just came straight. Yeah.
No, yeah. There's like another like 2 minutes maybe.
Oh, I have something to look forward to after this. And
I'll talk about it, but it's nothing crazy. It's nothing spoiler.
Okay. But it's not just like the animation in the first episode that's spectacular compared to the rest. It's also just the art direction, like the way that they're all haloed around them, and I mean, they just look so much cleaner, and it's just like it's genuinely stunning. Like the way the eye rolls into the skull. Oh, it's just
before I forget,
tasty.
Since we're talking about animation, again, obviously we've gotten this far. Episodes 2 and 3 are just fucking trash as far as animation.
My god, yeah. There's moments in the third episode, like during the hospital sequence. I feel like they put all of their energy into the hospital sequence.
Yeah,
like there's some parts of the hospital sequence that I genuinely thought were pretty decent. Nowhere near as good as the first episode.
No.
Like genuinely decent, but then the rest is just,
There's a I think it's second episode. When they go to the lighthouse. And then they're coming back down. When they're coming back down, coming back down, there's a frame of Kyrie like walking down, but her head, like around her head, is like a static image, so it's moving, but the background's moving with her, and it's so weird.
It's so bad.
I turn to Flame and I go, "Ew, what is that?"
and there's moments of the fourth episode when they're like flying through the tornadoes, and it's literally just PNG images, like static, just like rotating. Like you could make it in PowerPoint presentation. You know what I mean?
Or
it's
the sweet chase scene at the end of that last episode, of the fourth one.
Which part? When she's falling?
When he
falls. It's just like making.
It's just an image, and they just
transform
smaller. Yeah,
like Control T.
It was so bad.
And it sucks because the other thing is I feel like whoever drew like parts of episodes 2, 3, and 4, they did an amazing job. Like there's parts where you could pause the show and it looks just like the graphic novel. It's just everything around it. It's the animation, and it's the art direction sometimes. Like there's a part in the fourth episode where it's just an amalgam of people, and it looks like genuinely it looks like something like an AI generative like would come up with. It's just like a mangled mess of and it doesn't look good. It's like really it's, what am I trying to say? Like in Junji Ito's work is very detailed, but in this it's completely bare. It's like outlines of what he did in the book. And it's just sad. It's sad to watch. I'm not a fan of it at all.
No.
I do. There's some parts in the second episode that I respect. Like I'm trying to remember. There's parts like when there's the girl with who, like Kyrie's hair turns into spirals.
Oh,
and then hers does too, and it like zooms in on her face and hair when she's like all like her face is being completely is sucked in. So
it's like draining her.
Yeah, and they use like old school like flickering and film damage over it, and it makes it look really creepy. And the music over the top, like the
music was so good too.
Yeah, I'm glad that I imagine like he scored the first episode and then they just reused that.
Oh yeah, for the same thing, over and over again.
Yeah. But it sounds great. Like it's great violin focused soundtrack.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, but the I just I'm just so disappointed. You know,
Yeah.
I want those last three episodes like the first one. I couldn't believe what I was watching just then when I was watching the fourth one, because the pacing's even worse in the fourth one.
Oh yeah.
Um, like they completely speed run through the destroyed town.
Hmm.
Um, like I feel like there's whole chapters that are set inside the building where everyone's like cramped inside the building. I
Hmm.
feel like
Hmm.
there's a whole chapter that's set in there
There
that just
is.
isn't in there.
Yeah.
Like they walk in and then they get kicked out immediately in the show.
Hmm.
It's just like it's sad, honestly. I feel bad for everyone who worked on it. To be honest.
Yeah. Another. I'm trying to find something to show off right now. There's there's a story of the Jack in the Box,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which they completely cut out. Also,
that's
like
not
he
there.
just
Yeah, it's
he
gone.
dies, and then you just see him like later, like
Whoop.
one time, and that's it. And I'm like,
Mm.
that is such a crazy story, and it's like just insane. The reveal of him still being alive.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then they just completely skip over that, and he just appears, just like, hey, it's like that's a spring from a car, possibly, and it's like it was so
Up.
bad, and I was like, what are
Uh,
they doing?
yeah, yeah. And and there's the part where the mum is in the hospital. I mean, I think the hospital sequence is pretty decent, but there's like four chapters of the
Hmm.
mum
Oh
being
yeah, yeah,
obsessed with
yeah,
her ear, and I think it happens in like 30 seconds in the show. It's
yeah.
just
Hmm.
so much that's missing.
You know, and um, if I remember right, in the manga with the mom, it's
Mm,
like over the course of like, I think like I think it's over the course of like three or four chapters, but I think there's a couple of chapters here that break it up a little bit. But
yeah,
it's pretty tight, that story of his mom,
yeah.
um, and it's told really well in the manga. It hits,
Mm,
it's frightening what she's going through, all that stuff, and then
yeah.
in the anime, it's like they threw it around. I think it's still in the same order, but it's just like there's so much stuff. Like it's like, oh, something happens with the mom, and then like 10 other things that
Oh
happen
yeah,
later in the
people are
book.
dying in the hospital,
Yeah.
and then
And then it comes
yeah,
back, and it's like, oh, the mom, I forgot. And it's just like
yeah,
it's
she's
just
doing that.
it
Yeah,
doesn't hit as hard, and it's like that was super disappointing. Um,
there's a whole and they in the manga. There's also the whole sequence where they set up that couple that want to leave town, like
oh yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah they complete they set up their romance and
Hmm.
they have scenes together beforehand. You meet them beforehand. They just show up in the show and then immediately are like, yeah, we need to leave town. Oh yeah, they're that like they just make mention of them. They're like, oh yeah, that couple, they're
Hmm.
leaving town. Let's go with them.
And that's it.
And then there's that infamous shot of them running on the beach and
Oh yeah, which
their
look like
feet,
shit, by the way.
yeah, their feet are like
It was so bad.
it's like they're on a treadmill.
Hmm.
It's awful.
It's
Oh
crazy too,
man.
because like it's kind of not fair to like uh to constantly compare, the anime versus the manga, because they're two different things. But with the source material being so iconic and essentially them pulling it one to one, it's hard not to
Mm.
compare it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely, and especially because of the first episode. Like the thing is, the problem is like if the first episode was like the rest, I probably wouldn't be as hard on it. But because we got a taste of what it could have
Yeah,
been,
of what it could be. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, like it's just like that contrast just is crazy.
Mm.
I remember finishing. when I finished the first episode and it ends with the really like disgusting kid showing up to school.
Oh yeah.
And he's just like he's sweating and he looks disgusting. Um, and then the opening scene of the next episode
Episode 2, yeah.
Is the same scene,
the same thing,
when
yeah.
when he shows up at school, and it looks awful.
Yeah.
Like there's no detail in his face. He just like um it's like wow, like it's basically the fact they made the decision to still keep that as the opening shot of the second episode. Um, After the ending of the first episode, like they completely shot themselves in the foot that way, doing that, because you immediately watch the second episode and you go, oh no, well what happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like yeah,
The end of the first episode, I was like, "Let's go, let's go!" Like I'm so excited.
Snail guy. Yeah.
And then you're like, "No, what happened?"
Like I genuinely, because I hadn't read any of the reports about it before I watched the second episode, so I went like I had to stop the episode. I went back to the first one to check, just to be like, that's not what it looked like.
Yeah.
And then I then I went back. I was like, wow, what happened? And you know, after the episode finished, then you go to Twitter. Then you see, then you see people going, "What the hell happened to Uzumaki?"
So here's what I've been looking at a little bit right now. I just want to show you something. This is So
please.
This is the best I can do. This is the best resolution I can get on this one. This is what the manga looks like. This is the scene from the hospital right here. Right. So we got this. So this is frightening. You know, this scene too is especially crazy. And this is what we get.
Yes.
This is what we get in the manga. This is so lifeless and flat, and it just.
Honestly, I don't think that's that bad.
I thought it was awful.
I genuinely don't think that's a very like too bad recreation.
I thought it was pretty bad.
Genuinely, like the hospital sequence is one of the few parts that
I didn't like the hospital sequence.
Why?
I didn't think it was done well.
Okay, fair enough. I just thought the animation was a lot cleaner. I thought
it was better, but it wasn't like, it was still just bad to me. And then this scene I saw, I just randomly looking right now.
Yeah,
this is so fucking bad.
Oh no, yeah, I remember seeing that.
Just this is what we got, and it's disappointing. Maybe not like, you know, you're not gonna get like an exact 1-to-1, but this isn't even close.
Well, you watch the first episode and it is exact 1-to-1, nearly.
That's true.
It's like it looks beautiful. Like that's just egregiously bad. Like in comparison.
And then further in that chapter, that guy, he picks up a mouse that's running around and he eats it. You know, and it's like, oh, that's crazy. But then I went back and I looked in the manga, and I'm like, that's so disgusting the way he eats it. But you don't get that feeling from the anime, which is like disappointing. But
yeah. It reminds me. I didn't actually end up finishing the movie, but it reminds me of when I watched when I read The Killing Joke, and the art in that graphic novel is gorgeous. Yeah, and it's like it's really colorful and like vibrant colors. And then you watch the movie, like, you know, the whole Batgirl thing aside, the art direction, it's just awful. It's like dull and grays, and it's not vibrant and colorful like the novel is. It's just very beige for some reason, and
yes, I haven't seen that adaptation yet.
Let me bring up some comparison
with the Batgirl thing.
Oh, there's a whole sequence that isn't in the graphic
the extra thing they added where like they were like Batman and her were kind of like a thing
that like they fuck.
Yeah, okay, I know talking about.
But it's not just that, but it's a good half of the movie.
Really?
They like The Killing Joke's the second half of the film. The first half is Batman and Batgirl fighting crime, and
that's weird.
Yeah, fucking.
That's not even anything in the close to being in the thing. Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they needed it to be feature length.
Yeah.
So they tacked that on.
Yeah. See, this is something I wanted to bring up because I feel like you and I are very, very on the opposite ends of the spectrum here.
Yeah.
For me, because I think we've talked about this a couple times. If you have the source material and you're not going to adapt it 1-to-1, I think you shouldn't do it.
I don't agree.
Yeah,
I don't agree. I 100% disagree. I mean, we've had some incredible films that are nothing like the source material. Jurassic Park is almost completely different to the source material.
Yeah.
It's an incredible film.
Fantastic film, yeah.
The Shining is in my top 10 films of all time, and I've read The Shining. It's completely different. Like the whole idea.
TV movie apparently is the one.
Is a lot closer,
and apparently it's really bad.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
Same with the Dune TV series. Is apparently a lot closer than the new movies.
Yeah.
But it's not very good. And I think that, to me, like the fact that there are, the fact that, like, if you said if my rule was all adaptations have to be 1-to-1, otherwise there's nothing. Then it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And then if I have examples like Jurassic Park, The Shining, I'm trying to think of another one. There's a few. I think American Psycho is better than the book. If I have examples that break that rule, then I have to adjust my rule. And then my rule is adaptations you can do it. You just have to be a bloody good director. You have to you have to put in the work, So let me show you the Killing Joke.
Counterpoint. Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. I haven't read the books.
Neither have I. I was a shot in the dark. Neither have
I. I love the movies. So
that was a Hail Mary.
Let me just. If you'd said The Hobbit, then I'd 100% agree with you. The Hobbit is one of the best books ever made, and
never read it.
The first two movies are okay, and then the third one's complete dog shit. Let me pull this up. So on the left is the comic book, and then on the right,
what is that?
Is the movie? Yeah,
that's from the movie.
That's from the movie. Here's another one. So this is the comic book panel.
Yeah.
This someone redrew the movie to stylize and make it look like the graphic novel, and then this is the actual movie that we got.
That's insane.
It's yeah. To say I had some problems is just yeah. Oh well.
Is the parts that they took, and they made it. That's bad. Batman looks so generic right there, and they both do.
And that's the iconic scene where he laughs.
Yeah,
that's the. Yeah.
What
were you gonna say?
Is what they took and used like from the actual book? Is it? Did they do that okay?
Yeah, they do it fine. Yeah. They got Mark Hamill, and he does an incredible job. And they had Kevin Conroy as well. Yeah,
my Joker, my Batman. Yeah.
I will say though, there's a sequence of that movie or like dialogue where he's talking about madness and how madness is the emergency exit. It's one of my favorite speeches in like comic books. It's incredible. If you watch Mark Hamill's version in the movie and then you watch Troy Baker, like Troy Baker did a version of it like after a fan asked him on stage.
Oh yeah.
His is like Troy Baker's is so much better. It's almost like Mark Hamill, like his energy just wasn't in it. It's a lot more flat. I'll send you the comparison.
Yeah, something
yeah. And then you look at Troy Baker's that he does on stage, and it's incredible. He makes it sing. It's so good. But yeah, I want more manga adaptations that are good.
Yeah.
Can you think of any others that have done a really good job? I'm just trying to think.
The only thing I can think of, but it wasn't animated, was the One Piece, but that was live action. But
Yeah, they did a great job
that
with
was
that.
great. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I really like Edge of Tomorrow. I haven't read the books.
Hmm.
The All You Need Is Kill, but
Yeah.
Edge of Tomorrow is a great film.
Hmm.
And I don't think a lot of people would disagree with me on that one.
Hmm.
Just trying to think. I'm not a fan of Zack Snyder's Watchmen. I used to be. Um, but after when I was a lot younger, I really liked um, Watchmen just because it was a visual, like, it's gorgeous,
Hmm.
that film. But reading the graphic novel, like, um, just how the movie just feels so much more hollow,
Yeah.
and it feels like I also don't think Zack Snyder agrees with the novel. So
Hmm.
there's like little things that he includes that completely go against what the graphic novel is trying to do. Um, that, like, he adds this whole action, like this like spectacle action sequence that isn't in the graphic novel. Um, that's kind of just going, look how cool these guys are. Look, they're so sick. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I love superheroes. And the whole point of the graphic novel is that they suck and they,
Yeah.
um, you know, and there's a part where he basically gives them superpowers.
Hmm.
Um, they're like breaking bones and stuff, and like with superhuman strength. Um, and the graphic novel is all about how they get the shit beat out of them because they don't have superpowers. They're just
Just
guys
regular
in
dudes.
costumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they get like the shit kicked out of them.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's just a bunch of stuff that it just like really irks me.
I remember reading Watchmen a long time ago, and then just being like, "This is a crazy book, this and that." It's just insane all over the place. And
Yeah.
then the movie, I didn't care for the movie in general, but
Mm,
what I did appreciate it was just how insane this world was, and then I
mm,
got to see it like live action. Like that was just
live action.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was like I liked it for that more than anything else.
Fair, fair. Um, and I don't want to get into the show because I know you have the opposite opinion to
Yeah.
me of the show. I really like the show, but
Hmm.
that's another thing entirely. I think mainly because I hated Zack Snyder's version of Silk Spectre second.
Hmm.
Um, like when I first watched the movie before I'd even watched the graphic novel, she was just like the actress. I don't know if the actress was bad. I'm pretty sure Malin Ackerman I've seen in other stuff, and she's been alright. But the way that they present that character is just
Hmm.
so annoying and grating and like whiny and in the film, and then in the graphic novel, like she is the heart and soul of the graphic novel for me. Like like the whole idea that the comedian and Sally Jupiter, uh, um, like both horrible people, like
Yeah.
just not good people at all, and she obviously the comedian does what he does with her, and it's like horrific. But out of that, still, there's like a glimmer of positive, like something positive that comes out of it, which is Laura Jupiter the second.
Hmm.
No, is Laurie Jupiter or Miss Jupiter the second, and just like how likable she is in the graphic novel, and she's a shining light in the middle of like just an awful situation. I just love that idea, and it's the whole reason why Doctor Manhattan ends up doing what he does in the end and giving a shit about humanity is because of her. Um, like she proves him wrong, basically.
Yeah.
And in the graphic novel, it makes total sense because she's just like a wonderful character and she's just like a wonderful personality.
Hmm.
Um, and then in the movie, she's the worst character in the film, and you just, whenever she's on screen, you just hope that the scene ends. so,
Yeah.
so the whole theme just falls apart. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because of that. But the reason I love the show is because I feel like they do an incredible job with that character, like Laurie Jupiter, and I think she's so likable in the show. The actress that they picked is perfect. Like she's just got such a quick-witted personality and everything. And I at least, I mean, I like a lot of other stuff about it, but that's the main reason why that show's special to me, because I feel like at the very least it understood that character and the importance of that character. Yeah, I don't. I guess it's like we're reviewing Watchmen now. I think
is our backdoor Watchmen pilot. Speaking of Watchmen again, one of my favorite things in that I don't think has ever been replicated, at least not like blatantly. But at the end of the Watchmen book, spoilers, should have read it. Is they find out Ozymandias is like, the bad guy, and then they talk to him, and he's given this whole long speech, like typical superhero villain speech, and like, okay, well, guess what, buddy? You gave out your whole plan, and now we're gonna stop you. And he's like, oh, that shit happened like 5 minutes ago.
Yes,
like, I already set the fucking bomb off. Like, we're good.
He does a saw too. He does. He does a jigsaw.
Like, what do you mean? It's like it's been done. Right now, I'm just gloating. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, what the heck?
And I love that his whole evil plan is like he brings a giant evil squid.
Yeah.
Like from another dimension. And then Zack Snyder was too pussy to do that in the movie.
That'd have been so great.
Which the TV show does. It does do it. Yeah. Well, it harkens back to it. Like, there's all the squid falling down, and there's the one guy who was there on the day when the squid showed up, and he's got PTSD from it.
Okay.
The guy that has the mask that's like a disco ball.
Yeah.
Mirror Glass, or I can't remember his name. Hi, Sarah. How you doing? First time chatter.
Hello.
So we're meant to be talking about Uzumaki, but we've just been talking about Watchmen for the past 10 minutes. But it's relevant because it's talking about like graphic novels that stack up to their original potential. Just trying to think. I mean, obviously, there's all the Marvel stuff. There's some Marvel movies that Days of Future Past. I've read the graphic novel of that. The movie is completely different, but it's so good. It's really good. The X-Men Days of Future Past.
Dark Knight is based on the Long Halloween.
Long Halloween,
and I think I pulled from something else. And the Long Halloween is nothing like. I mean, there's parts of it, but like, there's a huge twist at the end of the Long Halloween, which is just crazy that they don't get anywhere close to in the Dark Knight.
In the Dark Knight, but it's still like it's very loosely based. But yeah, I'm just trying to think. Graphic novels that really worked on screen. And it sucks because Uzumaki could have been a slam dunk.
Do you think, I mean, except from the obvious, hey, the first art studio, use it 4 times, which I think it obviously would have made it better. I think they still would have ran into pacing problems. So I think more episodes would have helped.
And just like letting some stuff marinate a little longer.
100%. I had read that people, or I read a couple of comments online that I don't think they were really received well, where people were like, you should have done 19 episodes, one chapter per episode, which I think would have been a little too much.
Yeah, that would have been too extended as well. Like you just would have been padding for time at that point.
I think maybe putting like 2 or 3 chapters together per episode would be fine.
There's I think there's a nice balance out there that they could have found, but
I didn't like to jump around either too, like out of place. Like the first episode, the girl in this scene right here, she doesn't pop up till like a little bit into the book, like you're like fifth, sixth chapter, and they introduce like right away, and I'm like, this isn't how this works.
It's a little egregious, but I kind of saw it as like I was watching it and I just felt like this show looks so expensive.
Yeah.
And I was watching it And I kind of went, if you're going to adapt it, like, and I feel like that was the way to do it, at least to me. If you wanted to get all of the iconography in there, but still, tell a story that's set in one world, and I don't know, it worked for me. But the pacing got so much worse throughout the show, and even then, like first and second episodes, like not great. But there was some parts I liked about it. I felt like the last episode, the one I just watched, was even then such a huge decline, even from the third episode. I just, it's disappointing. Yeah, honestly. So I'm wondering, this show. Would you recommend Uzumaki?
It's so tricky because the first episode was so good.
Yeah,
it's like, do you just? I don't know. it's like okay. So I'll say this: if you've read the manga, I think it's definitely worth a watch. The whole thing,
for curiosity's sake.
Yeah, curiosity. Yeah. It's just cool. I mean, you get this from comics too, and just like and just other stuff that you see that are like a visual stationary media or stuff that isn't represented like in a movie. To know those type of things, and then to see them like displayed like that.
Moving.
There are scenes that are pretty cool, like the chapter where they build the houses and they connect them in a spiral. I was like, are they even going to get to that? And they get to it super late.
But they skip over it so quick.
They do.
Like,
but it was cool.
Oh yeah, they build the houses. Boom.
It was cool.
That's
like,
it.
Hey, they're all connected. I was like, they're connected. That's cool. But it's
like
over so fast. It's so fast.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scenes like that where you see something cool. You're like, that's from the book. But then it's like over immediately.
I feel like I want to say like, it'd be cool for someone to watch this and like if you didn't know what was going to happen,
right?
Like,
yeah,
I feel like seeing all this new stuff might overcloud or overshadow the fact that it looks like shit. But then I just say read the manga,
right? Which
isn't hard to read.
No,
yeah.
That was the next thing I was going to get to. So yeah, if you've read the manga, watch the show. It's worth watching. It's 2 hours. It's not very long. If you haven't read it, just watch the first episode, and if you love it, stop.
Read the manga. I think that's the perfect way to get someone into it. I think watch the first episode and then read the manga.
Although,
if you then want to watch the rest, go
back later and watch it after. But first things first, read the manga first.
Yeah. I think that's the best option.
There was a scene, and it's the hospital scene. Even though I said I didn't really care for it, when they started going through and like drilling people and sucking out their blood. Again, it didn't look as great as it did in the manga.
But it's so creepy.
But oh my god, I was watching it, and the entire time I was so uncomfortable, and like my
face music.
I was like, it was so uneasy, and I was just like getting kind of like mini nauseous. I was like,
and that's part of the reason why I like that section. I think it does a decent job. At, conveying the vibes of the graphic novel, like just like how it feels reading it. But then the rest just like looks goofy, so it's just hard to take seriously,
right?
A lot of the time.
You know so that would be my dual recommendation.
What would you rate the show?
Oh God,
100. It's so rough.
50, I guess.
Yeah.
Even then, I feel like that's kind of, like if I say 50, I feel like it's too low, but then I also think it's kind of too high. I'm like stuck. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
First episode, banger.
Like absolute first episode, 80. I'd give it an 80.
Yeah, 80, 85, 90. Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
After that, just, oh my God.
Second episode, maybe a 60. Third episode, maybe a 60 as well. The last episode, like 30.
Yeah.
It's just, it brings it all down in the end. You just feel like it ended, and I was like, I just felt disappointed and empty watching it. But hey, that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
before we end though, the ending real quick. The ending is an original story that they added. It's like 2 minutes long, and it just builds upon the ending. I'm not gonna tell you exactly what happens, but it builds upon the ending of like this town is cursed essentially.
Is it written by Ito? Do you know?
I actually don't know.
Oh, okay.
But it was a little too on the nose for me. It was like, yeah,
okay.
but the animation style, because it was done by the first studio, I was like, oh, well, this is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's only 2 minutes long. You're like, God damn it.
Oh man. We're gonna work out what we're gonna watch next.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
There's that.
We're gonna watch
the anime that what's the name one to watch?
Which one?
Prague. Blue Samurai.
Oh.
That's what it's called. We're watching that one.
Oh, he wants to watch that.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna be able to get that done by next week, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe. There's. I'm trying to think what's at the cinema, at my cinema, that we could watch. I mean, do you want to watch Venom?
I've never seen any of the Venoms.
You haven't seen any of them? Watch the third one without context.
Without any context?
Yeah.
It'd be funny.
Yeah, I watched the second one recently. It was terrible.
Was it?
Yeah. The first one is okay. There's that Robert Zemeckis movie here that's like all in one room. Like did you heard of that one?
Okay, so just to get this out in the open, I'm a World Series champion. That's who I am now.
Yeah.
The Dodgers defeated the Yankees in the World Series.
Yeah, you're the World Series champion.
Me.
You specifically.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you know, I should get a ring because I had to endure the long season. I had to endure the pain of the playoffs. I had to endure the worst part of the playoffs, which every commercial in the playoffs was a political ad, prescription pills, and
that movie,
and the trailer for this movie. and I kept turning to Flame, and I go, is this movie just shot in like a square? Like, is this all this is? It is.
That's the whole movie. Yes.
It's awful. I go, is this a sequel to Forrest Gump? Like, I don't understand what's happening, but it's all the same people essentially. But
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Yeah,
I was like, how is he going to connect the Dodgers to Robert Zemeckis here?
I've seen that trailer 1,000 times. And then there was a second version of the trailer where they show like I think like they're outside or something, but it's shot from the side where it's like it's not a square, but it's also not in the movie because they're showing you like behind the scenes kind of sort of. But it's still kind of like in a square. And I'm like, this movie is literally it's like, does it only exist in this room? Which it doesn't. It goes outside. But I think outside is still the square, and I'm like, I don't understand how this is going to work. This sounds so stupid.
Like Robert Zemeckis has done so many like gambles that don't work. You've seen the Polar Express? Awful film.
No, I haven't. The Uncanny Valley faces, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, like I mean, Robert Zemeckis has made some bangers, like Back to the Future, Contact,
Forrest Gump.
Yeah, lots. Forrest Gump, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Was that him? It was him,
know. I think
Robert
so.
Zemeckis.
Banger movie though.
Banger movie. Yeah, Robert Zemeckis.
Maybe that's why I love Redheads. Jessica Rabbit.
It could be. But yeah, he's made some weird like gambles over the years that just never pay off.
That. Well, that'd be funny to.
I'm that kind of gets me a little excited.
Let's have marinate for a couple days and we'll go.
Yeah. Might see it on Sunday. I mean, you've watched you've watched the trailer so many times.
I've essentially seen the movie.
You could probably review the movie. You probably could. Love it. All right, I'll see you later. I'm going to watch the last 2 minutes.
We got Titanic tomorrow, right? Spoiler alert, I'm not going to watch it. I'm just going to review off of memory.
Are you actually?
I think so.
Don't tell Doc.
He doesn't watch these things. He doesn't know.
Have a good night, bro.
Yeah, we're going to try to end this, but I don't know if it's going to work, but yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone. Well done.